Every day can bring changes, challenges, and opportunities that can also change your personal or business financial goals and priorities. As a true partner, Sandy Spring Bank can make it all a bit easier. Someone who really listens, understands, and then creates solutions in hard times and good times. We'll always strive to be your advocate, today and every day. That's real banking for real life and real business. Visit sandyspringbank.com/real. Member FDIC.
Every morning, Darren Armstrong talks Big Brother, looking at the stuff from yesterday. All the drama, all the strategy and silliness from Tito's to HOH. Every single season, you know he is the reason. You know what's happening. Rob said that he could do it. Tomorrow he will do it again.
Hello, everyone, and good morning. Welcome to our live feed update for July 14th. I'm your host, Darren Armstrong, and with me today is Chantal. How you doing, Chantal?
Tired once again. These house guests do not want us to sleep in this first week of feeds. No sleep, but I'm happy here to talk about all of it with you.
Yes. Oh boy, these people. It's been a rough ride so far. Fun ride.
Yes.
But a bit rough here. We are here, of course, to update you on everything that happened yesterday on the Big Brother 23 live feeds. It was day 7 in the house. 1 week in here.
Not day 70?
Yeah, right? Where even are we? There's some stuff to talk about. Not too much is progressing in terms of this week, but we do have some movement in terms of where things are headed next week, similar to yesterday. We may see more happen with the campaigning and the votes today, aka Wednesday, day 8, but that's for tomorrow. So let's talk about what happened yesterday. There were a couple of main events, one of which involved Frenchie and the women and an alliance name that shall not be named. But before that happened, we also had Sarah Beth talking to Alyssa. Sarah Beth is still on the I want to target Derek X train. He said my name. That's a reason to target him. She's telling this to Alyssa. She still wants to target Derek X. She feels like Derek X is the biggest threat to her game, and she wants to target him.
Does she know yet if that's kind of who he still wants to target? Because had she talked to him about who he's voting for and what his plans are for the next few weeks, and maybe she can come together with him because he's so on his own. He has nobody. He's going to be voting out his best friend. I just don't see him as a threat at all. And I was going to be giving some props to Sarah's gameplay later on in the day. So I'm just confused as to why she's not seeing the situation a little bit more clearly.
Yeah, I was really hoping that, after a good night's sleep, she would think about it and go, you know what? I was just told about a majority alliance started by the first HOH that does not include me. Maybe I should not target their target, but apparently not. Again, though, she's talking to Alyssa here, so maybe she's lying. She's not lying. She's going to tell other people. All right. Claire is going to talk with Tiffany. They are the duo of the hour here, and they talk about not wanting to vote with the house for the sake of it. That's not what they're about. And Tiffany mentions that Travis should be able to get at least 3 votes. And, maybe it's worth considering looking at the option. She does not want to get in trouble for, staging a campaign against Alyssa or voting against Alyssa. She doesn't want Alyssa to have a reason to go after her if she wins HOH next week. But, maybe this is something that they should look at.
I mean, I really want this to happen. I know it most likely won't, but I'm just kind of I don't like everybody going along with the house. I want people to like take their games into their own hands. And like, these are the times where you can really have a split vote. And it's like, it'll be really exciting for us anyways. I understand though with Tiffany not wanting to stand out and have Alyssa have a reason to target her. So I get why it's probably not going to go through, but I just wish that Travis was just a little bit more of a game player and realize that he could probably get the votes if he's just like, hey, look at these showmances. Hey, I'm a guy. Let's not let's not get a guy out. We want to keep the guys strong because the women are going to have more numbers. Like whatever the argument is for next week, use it for yourself right now, Travis. And then you might be able to get Tiffany on board and the rest of your team.
He's been very, very passive so far. We're going to kind of figure out why or find out why a little bit later, but it's okay. We'll find out. Claire and Tiffany discuss going after Brent next week. He is their target. He is who they think they should go after, and they are trying to figure out who they should put up next to him. They don't want to go after Derek X. They don't want Derek X to be on the block. They think that's pointless. They are smart enough to realize that. And they discuss, Whitney as a potential option. Whitney seems very close with Brent, and so potentially putting Whitney up on the block as a pawn next to Brent might be the way to go. Tiffany doesn't want to piss Whitney off or anything. She does have a relationship with Whitney, but if it's got to be that way, it's got to be that way.
I'm down with this. I actually have both Whitney and Brent on one of my drafts, and I really want this to happen. Your draft is like, you're willing to make it tougher. Tiffany is my number one pick, though, so I do have Tiffany as well on one of my drafts. I wanted to like Whitney, but just kind of the way that she wants to play the game is not really my style. We'll probably talk about it more, but later on in the evening, how she wants to target 2 women next week. And I was just like, what? Why? Like, they're not coming for you. Like, why are you playing the boys game? Like, take some agency, Whitney. But it seems as though her style is showmance and hanging with the guys.
Yeah. Tiffany is also going to talk with Derek. Derek is thinking about the situation that he was in and that he used the veto on Kyland, and he is kind of coming to the conclusion that I think I made a mistake. I think I screwed up. I probably should not have used that veto. I put Travis in this position, and what I should have done is not use the veto and tried to save both of my allies, because then there was a much better chance that Alyssa would go home. But instead, I used the veto, trying to win favor with people, and I don't think it's going to be reciprocated. And Frenchie told me that he's got like 11 people and that he was going to bring me in, but thinking about it, if he has those people, then I'm just going to be at the bottom for the rest of this game if things stay the same. So I'm not feeling very great. And Tiffany's like, that's what happens with the first HOH. They have a lot of power. And so you'd better fight and win this next one.
I really love, though, the relationship between Tiffany and Derek X. Like, it's kind of like he's blossoming into like a good player because he's having these realizations and she's kind of guiding him along the way. Where was she, though, when he was thinking and considering using the veto? Because that would have been the perfect time for her to be like, hey, let's pull the brakes.
I think the problem is that she wanted him to use the veto because she wanted Kyland safe no matter what.
Gotcha.
As in like, she's, Travis is no skin off of her back.
That makes sense. Okay. I'll forgive that moment then. But I really do like how she's kind of guiding him without seeming a little bit like, I know the game and you know nothing. Like, she's not making him feel kind of insecure that way. And so I hope that he can still try to figure out how to get Travis these votes. I want Travis to stay at this point. I don't want any more support for Slaughterhouse. I don't want people to think that they're running things. I'm so anti-Slaughterhouse that like, I'll take Travis and Alyssa can go.
So Kyland is going to talk with Travis, and he's going to give Travis some advice for the campaign. He says that he should really emphasize the gender divide, that he's a guy and the guys shouldn't want him to go because then the women will have a majority, and says that he needs to start campaigning. Travis says, not yet. I'm waiting until Wednesday night to make my campaign. I feel like that's when it will be most effective. That's why Travis has been doing basically nothing. Now, we saw him try this strategy, I guess, the night before the veto was used, where he went to Frenchie and he tried to, convince Frenchie, and he did for a little while. But it was not enough because Frenchie was not enough to change the outcome of what was going to happen. And my concern for Travis, if he is going to try to make something happen on a Wednesday night, is that he's planning on talking to Frenchie. Again, I don't know that Frenchie himself will be enough to make anything work here. And waiting so last minute, it certainly could work. But I think either Aman or Melissa said this last night, but he needs to be doing something, laying some kind of groundwork down for the action that he takes on Wednesday night, not just like hanging around doing nothing until Wednesday night.
100%. I mean, he can lay low. I totally understand that strategy as to like being the last people in their ears. And so when they go to the vote the next day, it's, he's done the work. But I think with this house and at this time in the game, I think he should have maybe been working on Frenchie maybe this whole time and getting Frenchie to, to change his mind slowly. And then Frenchie every day can maybe start planting those seeds. So then at least when he's coming back to talk to these people, they might be already warmed up to the idea of flipping. I just don't see anybody that has been set for the last few days being like, this is what we're doing. This is what we're voting out, to all of a sudden be like, no, we're keeping Travis now. Like they kind of need to be groomed a little bit. And I don't think that he's considering that.
Mm-hmm. So Frenchie is going to, he has an idea. He wants to create an alliance with some of the women of the house. Ally to women Frenchie. He wants to align with the women. So he is going to gather some of the women and make an alliance with them. Azah, Claire, Tiffany, Sarah Beth, Hannah is the core of this, what he wants to do. They come around to calling this French kisses. Thank you, Azah, I believe, for that one. And they discuss adding potentially Brittany to the mix, maybe Big D. If they add Brittany, is she going to tell Whitney? They don't know if they want to tell Whitney. It's a whole thing. But this is like the most fake alliance we've seen all season.
Well, this is the thing, though. Even fake alliances have value. Like Frenchie is going to use all these alliances that he's created in order to kind of guilt people to keeping him off the block. A lot of people are loyal and a lot of people are of their word. And so if he's in even fake alliances with them, he can be like, well, we're in alliance together. You said that you wouldn't put me up. So I think it's all just to benefit Frenchie, and whether or not these women take it seriously or not, I don't think any of them are going to be targeting Frenchie, at least next week.
Yes. So after this forms, there's basically a bunch of like one-on-one conversations between most of the women where most of them say, this is dumb. We don't want this. We just said yes in the moment because we didn't want to say no to an alliance. But, Brittany and Azah are going to talk. Azah tells Brittany about the alliance. They don't really get the point of it. Brittany wants to make sure that Whitney is protected too. Sarah and Claire are going to talk about it. Sarah is still going on about Derek X and how he threw their names out there and he's the biggest threat to their alliance and jackpot. And Derek X needs to go. Claire, luckily, is kind of like, there are players in this game that they're on their own. They're kind of just like desperate, looking for something. And I don't know if Derek X is somebody that we really need to worry about. But Sarah's, she's still on it. They talk about how we don't need Frenchie. We don't need a man to start a women's alliance for us. I don't know what that's about. And Sarah says, well, if he has a women's alliance, he probably also has a guy's alliance. Yeah. And Claire's like, yeah, probably.
Yes, I like that. At least from him creating this alliance, like they had the idea that maybe he's working some other plan. So hopefully they might follow those breadcrumbs and like figure out a little bit more what's going on the other side.
Mm-hmm. So this is, I guess, again, like Sarah trying to insinuate that like, hey, Frenchie might be a part of something bigger. I would love to see her try a little harder. But we are where we are.
Wait, so Tiffany doesn't know about Slaughterhouse at all yet. I can't remember who was kind of some of the initial people that were talked about like 6 days ago.
I mean, everybody knows about the concept of Slaughterhouse except for like Travis and Derek. But the people who did not make the cut do not know that there is a cut quite yet, except for Sarah Beth. So Oz is going to talk with Big D. She tells him about the French kisses thing. He says that he's like, oh, well, that's no good. She's like, I don't think we need Frenchie in this. I think we can just work with the women. And he's like, no, you shouldn't work with the women. That would be a bad idea. You don't want to blow up your game. You should sit there quietly and not do anything.
I'm confused a little bit by Derek F's game plan, because like, why is he so into Frenchie? Like, doesn't he see what is going on at all? Like, he's in multiple alliances with Frenchie. I think that they have a final two. Frenchie's been completely like erratic, and his head of household was just insane. And why does he want to target the women? The women are nobody's targeting him. So I feel like the people that he's going after are definitely not targeting him. And why isn't he loyal to the cookout? Anyways, I'm just confused all over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he's a confusing player. And I still don't know exactly where he's going to land, but I definitely think that he it could be the downfall of many people that trust him right now.
No, I'm scared.
And a lot of people trust him right now. So
they tell him too much. Too much.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Specifically, I'll just skip right to this one. Tiffany is going to talk with Big D, and she is going to advocate for Derek X in this conversation. He's not worth going after, all of that stuff. And she's also going to confide in him sort of some of her feelings on Frenchie, saying that he's like Devin and that they should call him Fry.
I love that, though.
Which is hilarious. And that she'd love to go after Brent. And so this is a lot of information to be dumping on Big D, who has a lot of different loyalties. And I'm a little bit concerned for Tiffany with this information out there. She's been pushing hard against Brent with a lot of people, and it hasn't gotten out yet. But this Big D, it's a leaky faucet here.
I saw that conversation, and she's kind of like just mumbling it under breath, like kind of quietly. So I'm like, I was just hoping that it wasn't something so important, because if this gets back to Brent, it would just be typical that Brent would win the head of household and put her up. Like, it just would be what would happen. And then our favorite player would be in danger, and we'd be really pissed, and the whole season would just fall apart. So I'm just hoping that Derek just understands a little bit about the value of information and keeping it to himself, and just not let that one slip. But I'm worried. That's the biggest one I'm worried about.
Mm-hmm. Tiffany is also going to talk with Sarah. Sarah is again going to talk about Derek X. And Tiffany is also going to be like, I don't think that that's a good idea. I don't think that we should be targeting Derek X. That doesn't seem very smart. Hey, Brent is a much bigger threat. Maybe we should be looking at Brent. And so Tiffany doing some work on Sarah, which, may end up being necessary. We'll see. They also talk about the alliance and how it's kind of dumb. And Tiffany says that Frenchie's like that.
Yeah, that I love too. I mean, this episode, well, not episode, but this last night's feeds or yesterday's feeds was a lot about Tiffany, especially when they're getting ready for the toga party and all that stuff. There's like a lot that we can, she was talking to people about. And there's this one moment where she was talking about like Dan Giesling might have seen her on the feeds, and she like starts tearing up and crying. Like, the fact that she is even more of a fan than she was letting on, to know the reference of like, erratic players in the beginning and their crazy household race, like, just made me endeared more to her, and I love Tiffany.
Mm-hmm. So there's then going to be like a big party-ish thing going on, like big group stuff happening. There's they dress up in togas, and this is what leads toward something that sort of took the internet by storm last night, which is that there's a clip of Brent again with his hand in a place where your hands shouldn't usually be. Now, there's a lot of controversy over this, because when the initial sort of like thing went around, it was, I think you'd probably say intentionally edited in a way to imply, and described in a way that implied it was I guess, theoretically worse than the reality could have been. That the clip went around saying that, it was just the action itself, cutting out the potential context. And it was described in a way that was like, hey, look at him grope Hannah, without consent. Having watched it myself many times now, I'm still a little bit unsure here. What seems to have happened is that there was an extended version of the clip that was really, people went back and they watched it. Now, the context for this is that Brent did help create Hannah's dress, her toga, I should say. And what happened is that in the kitchen, she was standing there. She was complimenting his designing skills, best designer in the house. And she was showing off the dress, or the toga. And then he reaches down, does something, and afterwards she high fives him. And is still like complimenting the toga creation, right? So some people have come to believe now that the original thing being out of context was, a sort of slanderous attack, which to some degree probably was. Again, it left out a lot of context. And that a lot of people are saying that they feel like Hannah was asking him to fix something or asking him to check something. And that's why he reached his hand down there. Having watched it myself a lot of times, I cannot personally find a moment where she's asking him to do something. What I see is that she's showing it off, and that he is perhaps also showing it off in the way that he is. But she clearly does not mind, I think, or at least that appears to be the case. I do want to make sure that it said that just because she high fives him afterwards does not mean that she was okay with it. And unless she explicitly asked him to reach down there, I would reiterate what I said last night, which is that regardless of context, if you are not asked to or you did not ask to, then you should not ever do it. Even if she found it okay, that does not mean that everyone would find it okay, and there should be no guesswork in this sort of thing. So at the end of the day, those are the events. I will say again, many people, probably the majority of people that I've seen, do believe that she asked him to reach down there. I cannot personally confirm that I feel for sure that this is the case, but that's what most people believe, and these are the events that seemed to have occurred here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to be able to decide what the meaning of these kind of situations are with us looking at it on the outside. I would hope that, Hannah's feeling safe enough to be able to not be ruining her game or whatever if something was inappropriate. When I watched it personally, like, yes, maybe he might have touched her like without her official consent, but I didn't feel like he was doing it in a sexual way. So it's hard for me to look at it objectively because I just didn't see anything malicious or like sexual or that she didn't want it. So it's hard for me to say anything about it. I just hope that she didn't feel that way, that it wasn't like that she wasn't being objectified. But it's just I feel bad that if she was, though, 100%.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, the audio is very, very difficult to parse out. Again, like I didn't hear her ask him to reach down there, but I didn't really hear what she was saying at all. And so I don't think anybody can know exactly what happened there. And I think that, with that in mind, there's not really anything that I think can be parsed from here, given the fact that she appears, if she has not said anything, she was high-fiving him afterward. She, had no reaction to it. Again, all of those things do not necessarily mean that she was okay with it. But there is a lot of contextual clues to indicate that this was not something that was uninvited, and there's no real evidence that points to the fact that it was uninvited. But again, it's one of those things, and I don't think that there's anything further that we can get from this beyond. I think if Hannah was okay with it, then that's the end of it, and that's as much as we can do.
And also, even for me, from my perspective, is like, I'm wondering if I'm just desensitized to these type of actions and not to be up in arms about what I'm seeing, And so I'm wondering if that's my own, personal beliefs and what I've experienced in my life, that I'm like, it's not that bad. But if it is, like, I'm not saying that either. It's hard for me to look at it and judge it appropriately because, like, I haven't seen all the context. So,
yes.
I don't even know what to say.
It feels like, things, it's tough because, we get audio, we get video, but at the end of the day, you can't see exactly what's happening all the time. You can't hear exactly what's happening all the time. And it feels like, things like this are happening more and more often, that like, we're not like 100% sure exactly what happened. And so, I think the best thing to do is to not like overly rush to judgment and try to get as much of the information as we can. And at the end of the day, we have to, when we have imperfect information, sort of default to the people involved, and they're the ones that are experiencing it. And so again, I doubt we will ever hear from from Hannah in it during the season or anything. But if there was ever any problem here, hopefully she would feel comfortable saying anything. But again, we are where we are.
If it becomes a pattern, obviously, then
yes,
it might be a little bit different. This would be like, okay, this is the first time we noticed something like this. So I'm going to be looking at it. I'm going to be aware and just see, if maybe it has any, if it's a real thing that has happened here.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Say the white birds. I'm sorry. Please. I hope I didn't offend anybody.
Yes, and I will say this. Again, like I feel like there are people online who are intentionally trying to misrepresent things that happen, and those are the people that make these sorts of things very difficult for both the people trying to parse out what is true and what is not, and the people in the house who are just trying to potentially live their lives. And so, I guess I would advise, when you see something online, try to look at it with a critical eye from like, if you see like a random, cut thing. And I will say that even personally, last night I was doing the podcast. I did try my best to look into it as much as possible. And I don't really have anything new to add this morning that I didn't mostly have from last night. But I probably should have also waited until I had more time to look into it to say anything that about it from last night, because again, like, you can think like, oh, this really looks like all the evidence you might need, but it's not always the case. So it's a difficult thing to figure out, but there's not really anywhere else that we can go at the moment.
I agree. No. I hope that she's okay. I hope that, no lines were crossed, and I hope it's not a pattern. That's all I can say.
All right.
This episode is brought to you by HP Instant Ink. No one is reading your mind, but HP Instant Ink knows when your printer is running low and sends you new cartridges, so you never have to think about ink. Save up to 50%. You'll pay less than $5 a month for ink and never run out again. Find out if your printer is eligible and enroll today at hpinstantink.com. Conditions apply. For details, visit hp.com/instantink Spotify.
Moving on from there, we had the toga thing happen. After that, they played Never Have I Ever. They played charades. They played Mafia. They were all about the games last night. honestly, nothing too important to point out from here, other than the fact that like Frenchie was like a big party pooper for a lot of the night. Didn't
why did
really
he
want to
dress
participate
up?
in a lot of things.
Like, he didn't dress up. It was Kylan's birthday, you know, like, I don't know. Things in the house, he's so for the fans and for Twitter and all this stuff. Like, you'd think he'd want to be looking silly in his toga. You know, I don't know. I'm just surprised that he didn't want to participate. And he did lead Mafia once, but he wasn't great at it.
Yeah. He's also going to like, I think it was during, I think it might be during Never Have I Ever. He's going to like walk away from everyone and like head over to the gym and just be like, these people are idiots. Well, you should have put me in a house of smarter people. I'm just going to, I'm so much better than them.
He's so delusional. I mean, he's playing, okay, HOH-itis to the max. I don't think we've ever seen anybody with bigger HOH-itis than him. And I don't know who would be putting him up next week, but I just need him to have a little bit of humble pie to people that know that he's the smartest player in the game and they need to get him out. Like, just something. I just need him to realize that he's not HOH forever.
Kylan also talks to the cameras. Kylan does say something that makes me feel a little bit like, okay, you get it. He says Derek really came through for him with the veto, and he would love to be able to sort of return the favor. But I feel like would love to is a little bit different than like, hey, this guy's valuable for my game. I should keep him around and not just let people target him. But it's something.
I really like Kylan. I like his relationship with Sarah. But I don't think he knows how to play the game, and he talks a lot and too much. And I don't think that he is very strategic at all. And so I really want him to like use what he's got. Like, he has like a loyal ally that potentially in Derek X, like that is really great currency in this game, to know that somebody's like, hey, he's willing to use a veto on you. That means he's probably willing to do it again. Maybe I should work with this guy because he's somebody that I can rely on and that wants me in this game. And so the fact that he's completely missing this really great piece in his potential game is really alarming.
Brent is going to talk with Whitney, and they're going to complain about Frenchie for a bit. There's a lot of complaining about Frenchie. No talk of targeting Frenchie, just complaining about him. Brent mentions that he wants to go after Brittany and Sarah Beth. Those are the two people he wants to put on the block. He feels like Brittany is smart and threatening, and that Sarah Beth is, similar. But Whitney likes Brittany, and she says, well, what about instead of Brittany, because I kind of like Brittany, what about Claire? Claire is a big threat in the game. I feel like Claire and Sarah Beth would be good nominations. And Brent's like, yeah.
I was fuming when I saw this. I'm like, get those two names out of your mouth. I don't want Jack Box to be in any sort of trouble next week. Like, I want Whitney. They're not even going after Whitney, especially Tiffany. Like, she likes her. So I know she doesn't know about Jack Box, but like, I don't know. I really wish that Whitney was a girl's girl in this game. And from what I'm seeing, because I feel like she could do a lot of damage and win potentially and get to the end at least. But her wanting to stick with the guys, it seems like she wants to be like the last girl standing. It's only her and Alyssa in the slaughterhouse. I don't know if her game plan is going to work for a winning strategy, and I really hope that somebody gets her out soon.
Yes, and it's Jackpot. Although
Jackpot?
Jackpot would be very fun to play in the Big Brother house.
They're in the casino room. I should have even thought about it. I love Jackpot. Party.
Yeah, they're playing the trivia game.
Murder Party.
It's Trivia Murder Party. That's the one. Brent is also going to talk with Frenchie and Big D, and Brent is all about, last night, all about the women leaving. Woman has to go. And Big D likes to hear that. He is also going to talk about Kylan and how he doesn't trust Kylan at all. Kylan is with the women. Did you see Kylan giving massages to the women all the time? Like, this guy, like, what's going now? Brent is on about this too. I thought this was just Frenchie's thing.
Yeah, I'm not liking that both Xavier and Kyland have been kind of painted as, they're touching these women inappropriately or like unwanted. I think I saw him giving Sarah a massage a little bit, and then if we just talk about Xavier and Alyssa a little bit, she was like lying on his lap and he was like stroking her hair. It seems that both of these circumstances were welcomed, and so. I really don't enjoy Brent calling out at least Kyland about the situation, because I'm just like, I don't see it personally.
Yeah. It's a little gross. I
have a little thought actually that just popped in. Maybe this actually would kind of support him. Like when you see in others what you do yourself. So maybe he is doing, what he's seeing in Kyland. And so maybe that butt grab was, ill-intentioned, maybe.
I don't know.
You know what I mean, though, right? Like when you see in others, like you're projecting kind of like,
here's what I will say. I do think that there is, a competitive thing going on between the men of the house, that like right from the beginning, Frenchie wanted to be the women protector, and when he talked to Brent and Brent was like, I'm not a threat to your womenness, then Christian is, and Brent talked about how Christian was talking about how Alyssa is it was like, Christian said Alyssa was his type, and so he's being like really competitive with me about Alyssa, and we have Xavier who kind of has a thing for Alyssa, and so then Frenchie was jealous when Christian was with Alyssa, and then like not wanting any showmances, and now he's talking about how Kyland is with all the women, and he's always talking about like the guys who have the women under their thumb or whatever. And now Brent is talking about, Kyland's got the women, and it's just there's so much talk about like which guy has the women wrapped up, and there's this like weird sort of competitive thing going on. I think between them that is just, it's just like I don't like it.
Yeah. Okay. I can see that for sure. I don't know if I'm going to like how it kind of evolves, because it'll make people become targets for those reasons even further down the line, even though I don't think that they exist at all. Like, Kyland's giving a damn massage. Like, let him give him a massage. He probably I'd take it. I want a massage. It's stressful in there. I hope it doesn't continue week after week. Because I don't enjoy hearing them talk about the people that way.
Mm-hmm. So Frenchie is also going to kind of stick up for Brittany in the conversation with him, Brent and Big D, and pushes them toward Claire again instead of Brittany. So these things, it's the nominations are kind of solidifying toward Claire and Sarah Beth. In the meantime, Tiffany and Claire are going to be talking with Travis and giving him some advice, some game plans to work from for his campaign the following day. So, they're giving him step-by-step instructions. Tiffany, she's got a great advice for him, and he's listening to it, and he's gonna do it today.
Oh, and another thing though that Tiffany was saying to him, I believe this was the same conversation, was just kind of like, no matter what happens, like this has been an amazing experience for you. Like what is going to happen from you as soon as you step outside this door is going to be amazing. No matter what, this was like a blessing. And she's just kind of really bigging up him as a person, that he's amazing and whatnot. So I liked that I think she realizes that he most likely will not do what he needs to do to get the votes. And so at least showing him how to leave the game with his head held high. I was like, I really like that moment with her.
Mm-hmm. So Travis has a game plan now. We'll see if it goes anywhere. It's a great conversation. If you guys want to listen to it, Xavier and Big D are going to talk, and they both agree that their nominations would be Claire and Derek X, not Sarah Beth, that they would prefer to nominate Derek X next to Claire, but Claire seems to be the common thread in a lot of these. Though we do know that Xavier does not really intend to win the HOH, nor does Derek F, aka Big D. So, we'll see. But still, don't love these nominations from Xavier. I mean, Derek and Claire both, neither of them really do much for Xavier's game, but Xavier's game isn't like super viable where it is at the moment. He's going to need to move somewhere because he doesn't have a lot of power within this slaughterhouse structure. And I think that he's lost a lot more ground than he realizes within that structure. And he's going to need some people, and those people could theoretically be some of the women, aka Claire and or Derek. We'll see.
Also, earlier on in the day, if I'm not mistaken, Tiffany was playing matchmaker, and Claire was talking about how she has a little bit of a crush on Xavier. And, if he knew about this, maybe a little bit, like, he would not be targeting her because, like, she's definitely not targeting him. She's interested in him. And so maybe he does know that, and maybe wants to get her out because he's more interested in Alyssa. Maybe that's a thing. But, the fact that he wants to go after Claire, I was just so like, what? She likes you. Like, what? Wrong person.
Mm-hmm. Speaking of crushes, Hannah apparently has one on Derek X. And I know a lot of shippers are very excited about this.
I saw that. I was like, oh my God, what a cute couple. We haven't seen a lot about Hannah on the feeds or in the show so far, but what I have seen of her is like she does a lot of cuddling moments with Tiffany, and they talk about like we need to keep people that are gamers that want to be here, that love the game. But I would love for like a little bit of like Hannah, teacher, and like Derek X student, and like she also helps craft him into a bit more of a game, or just gives him more information and like just teaches him more, and like then they fall in love, and like we have a best showmance.
There you go.
You wanted to, Karen. You know you do.
I mean, they're both adorable. I don't know where this came from, but Alyssa was also sort of had her sights set on Hannah yesterday, asking Brent at one point, and how do you feel about Hannah? Do you think that Hannah is like prettier than me, essentially? And do you think that I'm like the second? Because Brent is going on about like, oh yeah, all the guys like you, Alyssa, which is what Xavier was telling her the night before. She's like, I'm probably like the second choice behind Hannah. And he's like, yeah, makes sense. I'm just kidding. Of course not. And she just kept talking about it. I don't know where this came from exactly, but Hannah already has to worry about Brittany, who has been talking about her quite a bit. She may have something to worry about with Alyssa as well.
Yeah, I don't know where this is all coming from. I mean, I know that Hannah is a beautiful woman as well. It could be because she's not as maybe out there and talkative, and she's just kind of laying low and just, being by herself for the most part. Maybe she's feeling a little bit threatened that like she's just like, so stunning on the side, and like, I don't know. I think it's just like a jealousy thing. But Hannah's not even like playing into it at all, I don't find. I think she's just being herself and kind of being quiet.
Yeah. So we also get a conversation between Brent, Whitney, Derek, and Hannah. It's a team meeting. And Brent goes on about how he feels good about Christian now. He had initially been wanting to target Christian, had that sort of weird competitive thing going on, but now he feels like Christian will be a big target in front of him. And that if Christian wins, then don't worry, I can work my magic on him. So that's how Brent feels about Christian. Little does Brent know he is the target, not Christian. And I don't think that Brent can work magic on Christian, to be honest.
Oh, I don't know who I want to win HOH, but Christian would be a good one. Like, not too bad. Like Christian, I don't know if I want Tiffany to win because it might blow up her spot, but maybe one of her allies or people that have the same targets as she does. Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that Christian would go after some women, but...
you do? Oh, wait,
yeah.
He's in Slaughterhouse. That's true.
Yeah.
Who is he going to go after? No, I don't. No. Never mind. I didn't say that. Cut.
All right. So
I thought we were like growing to like Christian because he's like, he seems to know the game more than we were giving credit for, Like what?
I mean, I think he's a dangerous player in this game, but not necessarily in favor of the people are rooting for.
Oh, no. Okay. Sorry. I didn't say that. I misspoke.
All right. So, they also mentioned potentially wanting to go after Claire in this meeting. So Derek is aware of it now, and Derek has a relationship with Claire, and obviously one with Tiffany. So this could be good if he relays this information to Tiffany and or Claire. Brent is going to talk with Frenchie, Whitney, and Xavier. This is just a lot of these people talking late at night, but talking about going after the women. Frenchie tells them, hey, I was approached by the other side of the house, talking about French kisses. And he says, I'm going to get information from them, just kind of like infiltrate. And he talks about, these women. He says, like, they're definitely making an alliance. So what I can do is I can bring them in, and then you guys can listen in. You can hear them starting their women's alliance with me. And all of that. So I don't know exactly what Frenchie intended here, but he created this French kiss alliance, presumably specifically to rat it out.
I mean, is that genius? I don't know. I don't know what's happening here. I mean, it could be a smart play to look like, hey, you're giving information, you're going to be useful. We don't want to get rid of you because like you have connections to the other side. You'll help us be able to decide who we want to target or not. And then also, if it ever gets out that this thing happened that he was a part of, he can be like, well, I told you that they had approached me. Like I was playing double agent. So I think it was to cover his tracks. I think it actually was kind of smart.
Well, I guess there's a way that you can look at it where like he is creating an enemy for his alliance to focus on to keep them together, while at the same time keeping himself protected and informed by the other side. And that may be how he's looking at it. Again, considering what he's saying to the cameras by himself, he's starting to feel like he's untouchable in this game. But it's a lot. And the second he created it, everyone in the alliance was like, we're absolutely all going to blame Frenchie for this if it ever gets out. Now, would that work? Maybe. I mean, he doesn't exactly have a ton of credibility left at this point, but we'll see.
But he's coming in ahead of the story. So it's like, I told you this a long time ago. Like, obviously, they're going to blame it all on me. I don't know. He kind of has an alibi a little bit here by saying it kind of early.
Yeah.
He's messy. I would not want to be working with him. I was thinking about it a lot last night. I was like, do I want him to stay next week just because he's so messy that I need to kind of understand like what his game? But then, like, maybe I just need to relax and, like, have, like, a bit of a stress-free, like, life with my big brother. I don't know what I want right now because he's very stressful.
So in this conversation, they also talk about how there being not really much point in going after Derek. They talk about Claire being a big threat. They talk about Kylan massaging the women. And Brent is adamant. I feel like I'm just repeating myself at this point. Then Frenchie is going to talk with Whitney. He tells her about Claire and how Claire's the one starting the all women's alliance. And they both like Brittany. They don't want Brittany to be targeted. They'd much rather have Claire targeted instead of Brittany. So they're both on the same page about that.
No, change your mind. I mean, hopefully it just doesn't go this way. I know we don't usually get what we want, Big Brother. So I'm worried, but I just want Claire to win. That's who I want to win. Not Christian. I meant Claire. Claire to win. She's targeting somebody normal. She's talking to Tiffany. So she's targeting Brent and maybe Whitney. That's fine by me. That's what I want to happen next week. I need to be relatively chill. I don't want to be panicking that Claire is going to be going home because she's also on my team.
Mm-hmm. He's also going to tell Alyssa about the Frenchies. I mean, it's all over the place here with Frenchie. Who knows where this will go? I do think that the women have a bit of credibility to back them up. Again, Frenchie, it doesn't have a ton of credibility. And the women did all kind of talk right after it happened. Ozza telling Brittany, Ozza telling Big D about it right after it happened. There are some people that might be able to back up their end of the story, but would Big D back them up? I'm not sure. We again, who knows how Big D is looking at the game right now? If Big D finds out that Frenchie's saying that they started the alliance, then he might believe Frenchie, I guess. I don't know. But this is where things are headed. It looks like Tiffany and Claire are trying to build an army against Brent heading into next week. Brent is trying to build an army against Claire, or Sarah Beth, or any woman really, but primarily Claire. And so, that's what it's looking like. The Slaughterhouse against Claire, and Claire and Tiffany and friends against Brent. And then a couple of people here and there who will either be throwing or just doing the easy thing and throwing up Derek X and somebody else. And we'll see where Sarah ends up as well, because if she throws up Derek X, then that's,
not good. Not good. Well, you didn't mention that they created a Days song, Taryn.
Yeah.
I mean, I was surprised that Tiffany was involved in this, because you think that, it's a great strategy. You're going to remember the days and the song's going to be stuck in your head and it'll be useful, 6 weeks from now. But don't you want to keep that to yourself? Because you don't want your competitors to be as well as informed as you are. So that was surprising.
Yeah. She taught everyone the song. They did the song.
That's going to be the whole thing of tonight's episode. Is going to be that song. It is.
I did almost forget that Frenchie had another conversation late into the night with the cameras, where he talked about how how great he was, and how he I hate having to sacrifice my morals in this game. It is fun though. It's as fun as I thought it would be, and I'm as good as I thought I would be.
Wow, no, that's not even what I thought you're gonna mention. He actually said that he wants to target Xavier, because he doesn't think Xavier will do well with the money, and I'm like, he'll blow it all. I'm like, what does that even mean?
Yeah, he started talking about how he's going to donate money, and I don't know what this guy's talking about.
He can't let Xavier have $750,000. Why not?
I really genuinely feel like we're watching somebody lose their mind in this house. I mean, he is very sleep deprived. He barely sleeps in this place. And I don't know, maybe this is just his always state of mind, but this guy, just the way that he talks to himself about himself, I don't know if he's okay. I
mean, the sleep thing is probably really affecting him, and everything becomes not real. But just when I saw him, or I only read that, I didn't see the actual clip, but I was just like, get it together, Frenchie. This is not what's going on. I just want somebody to level him out. I think I saw a tweet from his sister, I believe, saying that she was there to help him see things a little more clearly. So maybe he usually has people in his life that's hey, no, that's not really what's going on here. And kind of steers him in the right direction. And in the house, he's just just running wild, especially with all this power. So maybe he's going to mellow out when he doesn't have any power anymore. Hopefully Derek F as well mellows out when he doesn't have his whole, he's not safe anymore. I think these people just need to not be safe, and then we can see them be a little more considerate in their game.
Well, that's basically what we've got here. Anything else that you wanted to bring up, Chantal?
I think we got it all.
All right. Well, that's where we sort of stand here. Things to look out for today are that, of course, Travis will be enacting his campaign. Frenchie at this point is very attached to Alyssa. I don't know that Travis will be able to pull him away from her. But Frenchie is all over the place all the time. And he continued to say yesterday that he didn't even want to put Travis up. He was pressured into doing it. And he likes the guy. So if Travis says the right things and he plans on talking about how Alyssa's likely to get into a showmance, all the things that he knows are going to trigger Frenchie, there's definitely a chance he could pull Frenchie. If he pulls Frenchie, it gives the women an excuse to vote for Travis to stay. And there's a chance that something could happen here. I would not expect it, but I would look for the attempt here, which could cause some chaos tonight. And then heading into tomorrow, the eviction and the HOH is going to be very important. Let's hope it is something that gives everyone an equal footing.
There was one thing that I actually wanted to ask you about because I couldn't find the footage when I rewound. Was that production apparently was wanting to get footage of the slaughterhouse altogether, and so I believe that Frenchie was trying to get everybody together. So I didn't see if it happened or not. I couldn't find it.
That was the night before. That was the night before.
Okay. Never mind.
No worries.
That's wrong. I couldn't find it.
that's you were looking at the wrong night. All right. Well, that's what we have for you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. You can, of course, find me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Taran Armstrong, or on Twitter at Armstrong Taran. I will be live tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern to update you on what happens today, especially with this campaign stuff. And then a recap tonight, a recap tomorrow night of the episodes, and we'll have some fun with all of it. Chantel, where can people find you?
I'm everywhere online, but if you go to Instagram at ShanFranFran, you can find all my links, or find me on YouTube on my channel, which is Reality Realness with 3 S's.
All right. Well, thank you guys again for joining us today. I'll see you next time.
This is Peacock. I love it! It's streaming your favorite shows, movies, live sports, breaking news, exclusive originals. It's The Office. That's what she said. Chrisley Knows Best.
It's gonna be Todd's Way or the Highway.
And Peacock original shows like Punky Brewster.
Holy macanoli.
So whether you're in the mood for every live WWE pay-per-view or every episode of Law & Order SVU, Peacock's got you covered. Peacock. Watch for free, upgrade for more. Stream now at peacocktv.com.